I'm not a lawyer, but both the government and Diddy's defense team have submitted their own versions of the verdict forms they want the jury to use in his federal trial. So if you're curious about what the jury might actually be looking at when deciding Diddy's fate, keep watching. First, let's get on the same page. A verdict sheet is the official form that jurors fill out once they've made their decision. In Diddy's case, he's facing 5 separate charges, and the jury has to return a verdict on each one individually. Starting with the government's proposed form. Count 1 is the RICO charge, where jurors would check either guilty or not guilty. If they find him not guilty, they move on to count 2. But if they find him guilty, that means they believe prosecutors proved Diddy ran or was part of a criminal enterprise, and that at least 2 racketeering acts were committed by him or someone in that group. By law, a pattern of racketeering means 2 or more acts within a 10-year span. If the jury checks guilty for RICO, they then move on to a detailed list of the specific crimes the government alleges, like kidnapping, including the claim that Capricorn Clark was forced to go with Diddy the same morning Kid's car was blown up, arson referring to that car explosion, bribery, money exchanged for the Intercontinental Hotel video, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking with Cassie and Jane, transporting for prostitution, and drug distribution. If jurors believe the prosecution proved any of these beyond a reasonable doubt, and that they were part of the enterprise's activity rather than one-off acts, they mark proven or not proven for each one. Again, at least 2 proven acts are required for a RICO conviction. Next is count 2, the trafficking charge involving Cassie. Jurors decide whether Diddy used force, fraud, or coercion to make Cassie engage in sex acts for money. Then they check guilty or not guilty. Count 3 is about whether Diddy transported Cassie across state lines for prostitution, essentially, if he arranged her travel with the intent of paid sex. Count 4 and Count 5 are the same charges, but they apply to Jane instead of Cassie. Finally, at the bottom of the sheet, there's a simple instruction. Once all the decisions are made, the jury foreperson signs, dates, and alerts the marshal that a verdict is ready. Now let's talk about the defense's proposed verdict sheet. It's pretty similar to the government's version, but with a few key changes. For the RICO charge count 1, instead of listing the alleged racketeering acts, the defense's version has a blank line where jurors would write in what they believe was proven, giving them more control over how they explain their decision. Also, for counts 3 and 5, where the prosecution's sheet refers to transportation to engage in prostitution, the defense uses the formal name, the Mon Act transportation, and includes either Cassie or Jane's name. For context, the Mon Act is the actual federal law being used in these charges, but the prosecution's version uses simpler language for clarity. So, those are the 2 proposed verdict forms. We'll have to wait and see which version the judge ultimately approves, but until then, what do you think? Which verdict sheet makes more sense to you? And even though the trial's not over, what's your verdict right now?